Welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, September 23rd, 2019. We'll start with the acceptance of the minutes from the meeting of September 9th, 2019.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Nothing under communication. We'll go on to Dr. Cron's superintendent's report, please.
Thank you very much.
This morning, 11 buses as opposed to 9 rolled out, and we had, with the exception of a few minor issues with substitute drivers, all went well with the new routes. Thank you very much to Patty, Penny, for all of her work, and to Jane as well. And thank you to parents and families for all of your patience as we continue to iron out the kinks and work our way through the waiting lists. The Rockland Daycare, I'd like to point out share congratulations with Janet Tate and the Rockland Daycare. They completed a year-long coaching program with the Workforce and Professional Development Division of Child Development and Education. So it's part of their continuous process of trying to make the teachers better and improve the program. We're very, very proud of them, and they're clearly focused on increasing rigor in the daycare, so thank you for that. And finally, the building project, I just wanted to point out that the Board of Selectmen voted to hold the 2 elementary building project votes, the first being the special town meeting on December 2nd, and the second being the special town election on December 7th. So I just wanted to remind everyone. And also, we're going to begin having a series of public forums and information sessions for the public. The first one will be October 17th at the Rockland Senior Center at 6:30 p.m., but I will be announcing them as we get closer. But again, if anyone ever has a desire to see the Jefferson or the Memorial Park School, feel free to give the office a call, and I will personally take you on a tour of either building or both. And that is it for the superintendent's report.
Can we have those dates for those events coming up?
Absolutely.
Put up onto the website and wherever
Yes.
else we can,
Yes.
just so that, everyone got
Yep.
to see it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing under the audience, so we'll head to the reports. Financial reports for the school department for July and August, high school student activities, middle school student activities, and the daycare all for July and August.
8 motions to accept the
Second.
financials.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the building rentals for June, July, and August. It looked like it was a nice summer, calm summer, and I'm sure we'll be starting to ramp up with the rentals now that it's back into September. Old business, we have request for approval for the Guatemala service trip. This is the second reading. Dr. Harrison? Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for having us back here tonight. Tonight, we're fortunate to have Mr. Gary Rayberg here from Worthy Village. He's happy to answer any questions you have. This evening, you should have received, sorry for the delay, but this evening you should have received a page that's called Requested Information for School Committee that Ms. Shaughnessy diligently put together. So we're happy to go over that document as well with you if you'd like.
Thank you. Thanks for coming back. And
Thank
thank you
you.
for coming here. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
It's up to you how you want to go. I haven't seen this. We just got it now. Everybody?
No, but I did see the application for, for the students, the parents to read over and everything else. That was the wealth of information.
Right.
Had a lot of stuff in there that I was asking for
Excellent.
before.
Okay.
And I saw that, and, it talks about day 5 and what they were doing each day. And, if there was any emergencies, they had, the medical coverage in there, how far away it was, and, and then, talked about physical tasks and what the trip was going to be all about. I, went through the whole thing, obviously, and that was very satisfactory to me as far as what we were talking about the last time we were here. And
Wonderful.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And would suggest in further cases, we have a document like this, to send it right away along, along with it. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing what the parents and the students have to fill out in any of these trips, and seeing them right up front before when we go to approve this.
Sure.
Okay.
Tom,
Yeah,
this entire packet
Yep.
was in the packet at the last meeting.
I didn't see it. It wasn't in my packet.
One of the things that we believe in for this particular trip is making sure that we're incredibly transparent with the parents and the kids, making sure they know exactly what they're signing up for, exactly where we're staying, exactly what our schedule is from the very beginning. I would never want a parent to sign their child up for any trip without full confidence and understanding of what we're doing while we're there. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that was good, and then we had these questions, yeah. I did not see that in my packet the last time.
Okay, that was, but that's okay. It's
I'll
onto
go.
this, though.
I
this new
still have my
information.
packet, I'll go get it. Okay.
Do you mind just going, thank you.
Yeah,
I hate
yeah.
to put you on the spot, but I haven't read it, so.
Of course. You flip to it. So essentially what I did is I went through and I rewatched the meeting from last week, took notes about everything that each person had questions about. So here we have a representative, Gary Rayberg.
We appreciate your time.
I guess what we can do is we can walk through this, and then any questions you have for me or for Gary at the end, if that's okay. So, Jill, you had asked a lot about how can we get in touch with each other when we're away, and we had talked about having global plans purchased by chaperones, which this year we're going to mandate. The global plans usually run about $10 a day. I don't think it's out of asking range, and I personally feel like it's really important for any adult to be able to be connected in an event of an emergency. Traditionally, most of the kids and the families opt to purchase those plans as well. In the event that the child doesn't want to purchase the plan or the family doesn't want to purchase the plan, their phones work like normal phones on Wi-Fi, which is readily available everywhere we eat and at the hotel.
Okay.
Additionally, moving forward from that, we had questions about what to do in the event of a medical emergency. So we had discussed the two different insurance plans, Patriot, which is purchased by Worthy Village, and Travel LX, which we're going to ask the students to, or require the students to purchase as soon as they sign up for the trip. It'll be purchased using their deposit. Both of those are actually under the same umbrella company of IMG, International Medical Group. So what's great is that the policies for contacting for an evacuation are identical. So I've put here the business hours, the 24-hour line, how to contact emergency services, what the process is, et cetera. What I'm going to have different from previous years is every adult is going to carry this information along with all emergency contact for each student and chaperone. So essentially, every adult is walking around with 20 pieces of paper with individual insurance policies and contact information in the event of an evacuation or an emergency.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I think it's honestly the best practice. So
I do too.
moving
I think
forward.
it just makes me feel like at least if you need us, you can get us, and we need you, we can get you. I just
Absolutely.
don't want you out there and not being able to get you or you get us.
Right, absolutely. To kind of rewind back to the phones, also, one thing mentioned here under question number 2, item number 3, and 2 and 3, is that parents are provided the cell phone numbers for chaperones in the event of an emergency. So if for some reason they can't get in touch with their child, they'll have access to us. And now that everyone will have a global plan, those calls will go through immediately. Additionally, chaperones are traditionally offered access to phone information of administrators. And phone contact is on the emergency forms that all students are required to turn in prior to departure. And again, all chaperones will carry all emergency contact forms at all times.
Okay. And I assume Dr. Harrison has all of your contact information already anyways.
He
Okay.
receives a packet, yep.
Okay.
Moving on from item number 3, what to do in the event of an emergency. Mr. Mills, you asked a lot about what assets were available. So after speaking to both companies, I've kind of outlined the process that IMG follows. Speaking specifically to assets, they have a Medivac plane. They can even have different levels of medical facility on board. They could do a commercial airline, a ground ambulance, sea transportation, and more, including helicopters. Additionally, when you contact them in the event of an emergency, they also can manage what level of medical escort personnel is necessary on the evacuation.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Yeah. In Guatemala, dialing 1500 works like 911. It'll connect you to a bilingual emergency operator. So in the event of an emergency, obviously the chaperones would perform life-saving measures and contact 1500 to get an ambulance out to where we are. The ambulance would take the child to the nearest hospital. On the way to the hospital, one of the chaperones, or Julia Rayberg, who will be with us the whole time as well, would contact IMG, and at that point, we would figure out if we need to have a helicopter sent to the hospital.
Some evacuation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You had asked how long helicopter rides take, and that helicopter ride from Panajachel, where we work, to Guatemala City, where there are 9 hospitals available, is a 40-minute ride
Okay.
each way.
Just as an interesting side note, I was medevac 10 weeks ago, and it took 35 minutes, so it's not so bad.
Okay.
Speaking to item number 5, how we would go about getting the group home. Obviously, in a true emergency, the priority is stabilizing the student that's at risk. So once that is situated, we would be able to coordinate through IMG tickets home for the rest of the group and for the child who's at risk. What I did learn is that in this type of emergency, travelers would be able to use their trip interruption coverage, which would cover 150% of their insured amount,
Excellent.
which is great.
Right.
Speaking, I guess.
Good.
Speaking to item number 6, what level of medical care is available to us in Guatemala? I spent a lot of time researching different standards for international hospital care. It was a lot of information to kind of dig through. So what I decided to do is break it down for what's closest to what's furthest and talk about what's available in each place. So as we discussed last meeting, 7 minutes from the hotel that we're staying in is the clinic that Worthy Village owns and operates. That clinic has a doctor on site who lives in Panajachel. In an emergency, we could have the doctor meet us at the clinic or at the hotel as needed. The doctor has training in both the States and in Guatemala, which I found to be very interesting. In addition, Panajachel hospitals are open Panajachel pharmacies are open 24 hours a day. So if a student needed an emergency antibiotic or some other prescription, it would not be difficult for us to get.
Yeah, okay. Good.
20 minutes from the hotel is the Hospital Departamental de Solola, which is a hospital that has 3 ambulances and a helicopter landing pad on site. This is the hospital that we would use in the event of an emergency.
Okay.
2.5 to 3 hours by ambulance or 40 minutes by helicopter is Guatemala City, where there are 9 hospitals available, some public and some private. IMG works with all of those hospitals to network us to the one that has the best care and is most readily available to take us
Okay.
in the event of an evacuation.
You really did your homework. Thank you.
I'm on it.
I will sleep better.
You know what, though?
Thank you.
The more that I reflected on it, these are really important questions to ask, and I was really grateful to have to go through the process of finding the answers, because in the event of a true emergency, God forbid, I want to know exactly what needs to be
Exactly,
done.
like this is going to be in your hands, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
You made us a better organization with your questions.
thank you. Well, I think we're a team here, and that's what I think this is about,
Yeah.
keeping the kids safe and working as a team. So thank you.
100%.
Thank you for
Thank you.
doing your homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very organized, and you went over everything that we had questions about, so
Right.
thank you.
I feel
Yeah.
much
I
Of course.
appreciate it, thank you.
Of course, thank you. The last item mentioned is
Yeah.
just the procedure for an emergency. I did want to mention that I am going to ask all of my chaperones to be CPR and first aid certified.
Thank you.
I think it'd actually be a good team building for all of us. So
Right.
at the end of the day, if an emergency happens, the primary thing that needs to occur is that the adult on site needs to be able to deliver life-saving measures.
Right.
Right.
I want to make sure I have the confidence in myself and in my team to do that for us.
Right. And I think I've worked in a hospital for 10 years. I think that, too, having that sort of builds your confidence so you don't panic if something has happened, that you know and trust in your own self, and that sort of gets you through what you need to get through. So I think that would help in your own confidence as well.
Excellent.
Worst came to so.
Do you guys have any questions about the information we just shared?
About what?
About any of the information that we just
No.
discussed?
This is spot on.
Okay.
It's above and beyond, and I thank you. I
Yeah.
completely appreciate it.
Like I said, yeah, it just goes in your folder now. And, you know,
Perfect.
you work with it. But that's, yeah, I appreciate that.
Wonderful.
That's what I was looking for.
Awesome.
Thank you.
One more point.
Okay.
If we're still in the process of finding a male chaperone.
Right, that
If for
was-
some reason we don't find that male chaperone, we do have parents who have expressed an interest who are males that would chaperone.
Oh.
And our school attorney has indicated to us what the process would be
I was gonna
to
say,
make
that
sure.
opens a whole can of worms, but
Yeah,
sure.
to make sure that if we get to that point where a parent does have to chaperone, we follow the right protocol.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you'll let us know
Yep.
if you're going that route.
Okay.
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 All right. Anybody else, any questions? You guys, Dr. Quinn?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? I should have said, wait, let's do that again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Moving on thank you all for coming. Crutches and everything. Next for new business is request for approval of the Paul D. Leedy Practical Research Planning and Design. It's a Pearson book for AP Research. This is the first reading.
That's a new AP course.
Yep.
Yeah, just came out.
Hi, welcome.
I'm Carol Cahill. I'm the head of the English department. I'm also currently teaching the AP Research class. AP Research is the second class in the AP Capstone program, which we started at the high school last year. I went through the training this summer. I have a great group of kids and looking for approval to adopt a textbook for their use. I've been using this book in class since school started. I'm really just hopeful to get enough for all the kids involved.
So you already have a class in this? You started a class?
Yes, the class started in September.
September.
I didn't,
A couple weeks ago.
I didn't know in the spring I'd be teaching it, so I wasn't able to get the
Right.
book approved ahead of time.
Yeah, this is a new one, isn't this part of the, yeah?
New
yeah,
class,
yeah,
yeah.
new class.
Last year, Sam Hoyo taught AP seminar, which was the first part of the capstone program. AP Research is the second part, and the students are engaged in a year-long process. They select their topics. They do all kinds of research, including original research, surveys, or whatnot, and in the end, they will complete a 5,000-word paper and do an oral presentation in defense, which gets submitted to College Board for their credit for the course.
Oh, wow. So I did a little research on the book, and I found that what you had written about the book is exactly what the research had said, that it was very step-by-step, and I'm assuming that that's what you were looking for.
Yes, and I had an opportunity to look at a lot of books during my training,
Right.
and some of them I think are a little bit higher level, because this is really a college-level course,
Right.
and many of the textbooks are geared for higher-level students. This one I found the most user-friendly, and instead of just dealing with the statistics and what to do with the research, once you've gotten it, it goes,
It sounded like it really broke it down so that they knew
Yes.
what the next step was once they found what they were looking for.
I read about this recently, and it looked like a very interesting course that you teach, and, you know.
It is.
Yeah, it looks really nice. So you're looking for approval
It
for?
says first reading, so the book would actually be up in the super's office if anyone wanted to look at it, but if we were comfortable to just vote.
I just think it should be a second reading. The only reason that I say that is people actually do watch this meeting.
Right.
And if people had a question about it and they wanted to raise the question before we go ahead and vote for it, I'm in favor of it, totally.
Yeah.
But I just think that people should have a warning, oh, that's not the right word, but notice
Yes.
that this is going to happen, and if anyone had questions, they could get in touch with the superintendent's office, and he in turn refer them probably to you, Cam. So,
But they could come up and read the book,
Yes.
too. They can come,
Yeah.
they can go through the book and,
I'm a
you know,
little, I'm a little loath to turn it over to you, because it's my only.
Is that the
Well-
only one? And then I was going to ask if you turn that one over, then you don't have it in the class, then I'm assuming you wouldn't get the book
bet you
until
didn't.
You can send
after.
them to your classroom.
You could, and then you could see what the kids are doing,
There you
too.
go.
They could show you some of the
Okay.
wonderful
Here's
work
my
they're
thought.
doing.
How long is it going to take to get the books?
Minutes.
Well, I already have a quote, so I
Right.
would
But I mean,
imagine,
like, how long from
I
purchase?
can't imagine it will take more than a week or two.
All right, so 1 to 2 weeks there. Our next meeting is 3 weeks, so you're looking at 4 to 5 weeks without having books for the classroom with the one book that you have. How's it been so far with the one book?
It's been okay, not as good as it could be.
Right, well, that's my concern with pushing to a second. I'm not,
I've been
I'm-
photocopying some material out of the book, but I can't
Right.
photocopy
And I-
everything, because,
I can tell you from having a degree that is research-based, I have a history degree. I wish there was something like this when I was in school, because when I got to college, I had no idea how to research. Something like this would have made life significantly easier. So I think it's great. I think it's a great class idea. I like how it is a how-to manual. I did look at that and check that out and thought it was pretty good. My concern with tabling it to a second reading is the delay. I think waiting now, pushing it a month plus before they can get books for the class.
if you want to do that, I'm happy to do that. I'd like to make sure things go as they're supposed to, and we certainly have much other work we can do that's not just in the book, too. So if you feel comfortable, I mean, whatever the board thinks,
I think think our usual routine is first reading.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at the book, too.
Motion to table.
Second. Okay.
All those in favor say aye to table. All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Sorry. So we'll see you in 3 weeks.
Okay. And I'll leave this in the super's office?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
yeah.
you.
You have them sign out for it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
take a thumbprint.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
I'll leave a credit card. for it.
Say hi to Jim.
Your 2 awards, you and him together.
Yes,
Here's your awards, buddy.
that's right.
Request for approval for the grade 8 Philly trip is next on the agenda. Ms. Bond?
That's a good one.
The itinerary is the same as last year, the only change being that this year we are in Philadelphia, not
Outside of it.
a bus ride
Yeah.
away. So we are literally right there, which we did 2 years ago, but we couldn't do it last year because they had a convention or something like that. So the rest of the itinerary is completely the same.
When are you going?
Say that again, sorry?
When are you going?
I think it's June 1st.
June 1st, yeah, okay,
First to
yeah,
third.
all right. Wow,
Great trip.
yeah, it is good.
Where do we stand on the inclusion language for policy?
Inclusion language?
Yep. For special needs?
Well, we're working on it.
Okay.
We'll get to open.
I just want to make sure that before we say yes.
Anyone who
we got-
wants to go on this trip has access to this trip.
Perfect.
That is our broad inclusion language.
Right.
Perfect.
Because we haven't mastered our language yet.
Right.
To make sure that it
Yeah.
includes.
And that's been for 9 years, that's
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I just want to make it so it's known to the 10 people who are watching the meeting that it's all out there.
Okay.
So,
12.
12,
Well,
Motion to
maybe
approve.
14. Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
We're
it's
gonna go
homeschooling.
downhill. Okay, next is homeschooling. Just Renee Gale, if I can say her name.
These are,
Welcome.
all right.
Thank you. Good evening. This year, we have 13 families that are homeschooling their children. 13 families that are homeschooling their children, which equates to, we have 24 students that are being homeschooled. The breakdown is 2 kindergartners, 4 second graders, 1 third grader, 6 fifth graders, 1 sixth grader, 2 seventh graders, 5 eighth graders, 1 ninth grader, 1 11th grader, and 1 12th grader. So I've looked at all of the curriculum. The curriculum aligns very nicely with what our Rockland public students are using. This year, 8 of the students that are being homeschooled are doing online curriculum that actually the Department of Ed has approved. Some are using TECA, some are using Power Home, and some are using Liberty University, okay? The rest of the students are using, some are using a blend of online courses and some traditional, textbooks courses. The online students, we get progress updates and grades and report cards from the online courses that they're taking. Throughout the year, parents send in progress reports, students sample of their work, and, we have access to that as well. So, in comparison to last year, I think we have 2 students that I did receive their curriculum, but have since decided to attend St. Francis School. We have 1 middle school student that was going to be entering 9th grade who got accepted at South Shore Vocational School. We have a student that has moved, okay? So, like I say, out of the 13 families, there are 24 students that will be homeschooled this year.
We get this each year in our packet, and I think that this year, I think the online information sort of makes it look like you can almost tell the curriculum and that they are getting a similar.
Exactly. And like I say, the Department of Ed has approved
Right.
those online courses.
Right.
So, that's good.
Exciting for them.
I'm curious, Doctor, how, you may not know this, but town of Rockland, how do we as a community compare to other communities as far as numbers? You say we have so many families. For instance, a Hanover or an Abington, any idea what kind of numbers they have? As far as
I haven't looked, but I can do that.
Well,
I meet with, the
because
surrounding
I did a
towns
little bit of
monthly.
homework, but not people necessarily around our area. And
Right.
I find that, quite frankly, we don't homeschool anywhere near as many as other communities. At least that's what I was finding. And then, I don't know if that's good or bad, I don't think it matters, but I just kind of curious.
Right, so I don't think 13 families is very high, and like some of the
No, I
families
don't
have
either, when you
two,
said that, yeah.
And I think there's one family that does have 4
Yeah,
children.
yeah.
That they're homeschooling, so overall, I think, it seems to be a low incident.
And you have families that continue along with this.
Yes.
We've seen the
Yeah.
same.
We've seen them every
Yeah,
year,
we've seen them
yeah.
every year.
Right.
And you're comfortable with their progress?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
so far, yeah. And I thought this year, looking at the curriculum, it appeared to be very comprehensive.
Yeah, they are.
And good,
Yeah.
work samples, good progress that I receive. And also, sometimes I receive scores because some of the students take like standardized assessments, and then the parents send those in.
Okay.
So I get to see that as well.
Okay.
Great.
Good. And you're happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And your recommendation would be to approve all these? Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
I have a question.
sure.
There's one here that says you're still waiting for the application.
Right, and I
What's-
did not count that in.
Yeah.
And we've sent out a certified letter.
Mm.
We've, emailed the family. There's one child, and we have not heard anything back. We've left some phone calls.
Do you ever do like a safety or a home check to check on the child?
No, but I could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
To just make sure that they haven't moved or something, because
Yeah.
like I say, I got curriculum from the family, but they did not fill out an application, and usually I get that. So we've been trying to communicate with that family to say that we really would like to have the application, if at all possible, filled out. But maybe I could speak to our resource officer.
So is that
and have
that
them
family,
check.
excuse me, is that family being approved tonight? Are you holding
No,
up on
I
that?
didn't
Okay.
include
Yeah.
that.
All right. Good.
So that would be, 14 families, but I only
Oh.
put forward the 13 so far.
So motion to approve 13 signs?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are much better than
I
they
know,
have
I
been in
thought
years
so.
past.
Yeah, they were pretty intense.
So I don't,
Very
I
impressive.
don't mind having my arm twisted to have to approve them, but
Yeah,
they're actually
I think they
good.
look impressive this year.
yeah.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
On to the 2019 Community Education Adult Classes. And that's me to read aloud. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay. Classes that are running this fall. We have Sewing for the Holidays, Reiki Level 1, the Dance Workout, Monk's Cloth, Afghans, Quilting, Golfer Program, Eccentrics, Gentle Yoga, Developing Your Intuitive Self, Zumba, Pound, Heart Saver with an AED and a First Aid certification, iPhone Photography, ESOL class, 2 sessions, and 1 trip to New York.
Very good. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
English as a second? Yes, English as a second language? Yeah.
Request for approval for the fundraisers. For the high school, we have the class of 2022 sweatshirt sales. And for volleyball, we have the world's finest chocolate. For the middle school, for the pack, we have They're going to change it up this year, and instead of sort of doing individual fundraising, they're going to do some just family donations, thinking that it's easier for the middle school families to just send in money, so they needed approval for that. They also are going to sell Bulldog apparel at the stroll.
So 4 motions to approve.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye, times
Aye.
4.
Thank you. And then we'll go on to the iReady overview with Ms. Borlesi.
I'm ready to go home.
Good evening, Chairman Barone
Thank you.
and school committee members. It's coming up.
And Chris?
Well, 5 fingers.
So mean.
Coming on.
It turned green.
It turned green, it's thinking. I hear it.
I see it in the room back there.
Should we sing?
Kick it.
We don't have this problem with Dave.
There we go.
Oh.
I knew that was
Chopping,
Yeah, it's
the chopping at the
Check my
leg.
mic.
Yep, I know.
Mine's on.
It's not on me.
You were half right, it was on.
Has it not been on me the whole time?
Probably not.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Okay, good evening again. Okay, I'm here to talk about the iReady Diagnostic Assessment System that we've just adopted. This is a fantastic tool for teachers to view students' academic areas of strengths and weaknesses in real time. And what that means is, as soon as the test is given, teachers have access to the results. Student achievement improves with teachers' instructional practices improvements. So as we move toward more technology with students, teachers are also using more technology in instruction. Now see if the pointer works.
Yeah, hey.
This being such an important and exciting adoption, a committee was formed made up of the elementary principals, middle school principal, and curriculum coaches. We reached out to surrounding districts and to DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, to start our search for an assessment program. After careful review, we chose the top 3 publishers and invited them in to present to the committee. I already met our expectations in all areas. A diagnostic assessment is a curriculum, tool, and a test format. These tests are aligned to the Massachusetts frameworks for reading and mathematics and are administered to all students in grades K through 8. The results of the assessments help teachers understand what students have learned and what students still need to learn by grade level. As we all know, testing has been around since one-room schoolhouses, but technology has changed the way students are assessed and in turn changes the way teachers instruct. The iReady Diagnostic is a computer adaptive test that matches the difficulty of test questions to the ability of each student. As students answer questions correctly, the test becomes more difficult. As students answer questions incorrectly, the test becomes easier. In both scenarios, the test adapts to find the precise ability of each student in the quickest, most efficient way possible. The assessment individualizes the test for each student. The test whoops, that was wrong.
You went by one.
Go back.
The test balances itself out at each student's grade level for each Massachusetts standard. The individual strengths and weaknesses for each student are reported in the test results. The student's data analysis with the program stays with the program so growth can be measured over time. For example, here is the diagnostic result for a grade 3 student after taking the math assessment. The graph in the middle in green shows the placement of the student on a growth chart and will show the changes in growth for this student as more assessments are taken. Over to the right, you see the 4 math domains listed. Each domain shows the grade level achieved on the test by the student. Number and operation show a level 2 grade, which means the student needs intervention in this domain to move up to the grade level which the child is in, which is grade 3. Also, this program is used by many schools nationally, and a national norm percentile is given. This student is in the 87th percentile at this point. Further down the page, I'll show you on the next slide that there are suggestions for interventions that would benefit this particular student. So the next part of the report lists what the student can do at the top. This identifies what grade level skills the student has met. Finally, the last part of the report lists next steps and additional resources for the teacher to use to intervene with the student. This report goes on for a few more pages listing suggestions correlated to the areas of need by domain. There are many more reports compiled by grade level, by teacher, by Massachusetts standards, intervention groups, and many more drill downs. Another example is this district report. It shows the diagnostic results in math for the district. We're in the middle of taking this test right now, so this report is not complete as of yet. For example, only 89 students out of 272 have completed their test at Jefferson. The green, as an example, the green shows grade level placement is on grade level, the yellow shows approaching grade level, and the red shows at risk or below grade level placement. The assessment will be given 3 to 4 times per year on Chromebooks for grades 3 and 4. This is also a practice for taking the MCAS. The questions are similar to MCAS questions, and the online tools are similar to MCAS. Grades kindergarten through grade 2 will take the test on iPads. The data is available immediately, giving teachers immediate feedback on students' strengths and areas of need. The data is used to plan for instruction, including differentiated instruction. This could mean individual intervention for a student working with a one-on-one Title I teacher. It could also mean a small group intervention within the classroom during small group time in reading or mathematics. Maybe a teacher notices that the entire class is missing a concept. Therefore, the entire class needs more in-depth instruction. Maybe there's a surprise grouping of above grade level students that can be challenged with a project or other student-centered engaging tasks. We are in the process of administrating this first assessment, and the first assessment is just the beginning. Checking the progress of students is the key factor. After interventions are put in place, the teachers are continually checking in with students on their progress. The next assessment will show the amount of growth the students have achieved. This is a new initiative, therefore professional development will continue. iReady trainers are coming to the district, to the 3 elementary schools and the middle school on our full-day PD on October 15th. The sessions will be focusing on assisting teachers with examining student data, setting up data analysis protocols that can be used now and in future assessments, how to generate the most useful reports, and to help plan interventions and instruction and how to measure student growth after future assessments. And lastly, this was the committee that brought iReady to the district. So,
And that's for elementary and middle school only?
K through 8.
Yeah, okay.
In mathematics and reading at this time.
Good. Looks
Any
really good.
questions?
I know, what a great tool.
Yeah.
It is, the first round is happening now, and teachers are seeing, after an assessment is taken, you can see where the student is. I mean, there's so many reports that we really have to have the iReady people in to help us pull the most
Right.
usue report.
Dig into,
Right.
dig into the data.
To dig down into the data and to pull interventions and help us pull the type of intervention that will help the students achieve.
But you're seeing results now. You get
We are
some
starting to see results
Yeah.
because the testing window is
Yeah.
still open.
Okay.
And everyone takes it at the same time. Each grade level across the district takes it at the same time so that the test is valid,
Yep.
so that the results are valid. No one has learned a little more than
Yeah,
Exactly,
anyone else.
right,
Yeah, texting. Let me tell you what this one is.
right.
Yeah,
But it's an exciting start for this way of
Of
directing our
learning.
instruction.
Right. Probably something we've always wondered, why aren't they doing that? And here they can,
Yeah.
you know,
And this gives us a baseline. The first test shows
Right.
us where the student is at. From there, we can only improve.
go up.
We can only grow.
Do they have something for the secondary level too? There's a two.
At secondary, I'm not sure. I can check this for you.
Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah. This is where you want to
This is
get them
where our
anyways.
focus is right now.
Yeah, this, yeah.
I think it would help too to balance the 3 elementary schools and then get them onto the same page and then put them up
Right.
into the middle school too. I think
Yes,
it will
we can
show.
run reports every
Right.
which way to look at
Yeah.
all that.
To look at all of that,
data.
right.
Looks like a good. Where'd you
Great.
find this one?
I already researched all assessment programs that we could find.
Yeah, fine. Okay. Oh, good.
Great. Thanks for all
Other
you do,
districts use
Colleen.
it, and
Yeah.
a lot of other districts use iReady.
What, how many districts are there?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot,
I
okay.
can give you an exact number. I'll tell you.
No,
which one.
that's fine, yeah.
It's a
no.
national program.
Isn't it? Okay, yeah. Well, that's a good indication, that they get it done.
Well, they're able to give us
Yeah.
a percentile
Yeah.
based on the national averages of all the students that take the iReady test.
How is the company responding to your, any questions or anything like
Excellent.
that? Okay. Yeah, you don't have any issues?
We had technology involved, we had Tim Wells involved, Lisa Ryan involved, we had the coaches involved, just to get it up.
Right. yeah.
What happens is it pulls from our data, our student data
Yeah.
program, which is our X2, Aspen, and all that information from
yeah, okay.
Aspen
SIS.
is pulled into iReady, so we found a lot of
So the-
inconsistencies that we had to fix
Right.
in the meantime,
Yeah.
but it's,
So
yeah,
they do dovetail somewhere along the line?
absolutely, they talk to each other. Or call it a handshake.
Good. How are they working on the platforms that you're using, the Chromebooks and the iPads?
Excellent.
They are working?
Yes, the Chromebooks
So-
are what the kids, students take the MCAS on.
Right.
So these are MCAS-like questions,
Okay.
and the tools online are MCAS-like tools. They use Chromebooks for MCAS,
Okay,
so it's very similar. Grades K through 2 are using iPads, easier to maneuver,
right,
and they haven't quite learned the keypad yet.
right. Yeah, it's nice that you, well, it's good that you are using the same platforms that you're,
Oh, we're
that
trying
your
to
teacher, yeah, so to get some,
practice
get
as
some
much
familiar with all that. And
possible.
it becomes
Right.
second nature at that
Yep.
point, yeah, good.
They are good with their
Oh,
Chromebooks, for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
They are.
How do you find, this is a general, how do you find the Chromebooks are standing up to the usage in the schools?
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far so good.
So, good.
Yeah.
How old are these current Chromebooks?
We buy
Keep
new
adding every year.
Chromebooks
Yeah, I
every
know,
year.
yeah.
The
yeah.
oldest ones are probably 7 years old.
And they're still running?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to Tim.
It's because they're not a Windows machine, so they actually work.
Although the new MCAS is not working on the older Chromebooks,
Yeah,
so we can still use them in class, but we can't use them for testing.
okay. So how many do you need for the new MCAS? But
Say that again?
how many, do you have enough
Yeah,
Chromebooks to do MCAS with?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to all do it at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it gets better all the
Because
time.
yeah.
Gets
Usually-
better every year, and thanks to the town support
Yeah.
annually
Right.
with that $100,000.
Right,
That's what
Yeah.
they just voted on.
yeah, because I also use Chromebooks in school, and mine are really getting beat up bad, yeah. I'm just curious, but okay.
Well, Tim and
Tim, yeah.
the department they do a great job keeping up. I'm sure they're fixing them on a daily basis.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they are.
It's a real team for the first, we had one class take the iReady test as a
Right,
a test to see how it was going to work. And we had 3 coaches there. We had Tim Wells there. We had Lisa Ryan there.
okay.
And I was there,
Okay.
making sure that the computers worked. Everything was,
So you had more supervisors?
no
than-
pressure,
than-
kids were
kids.
thrilled.
Right. So they tanked it.
but everything, it was a real team
Yeah.
effort to make sure this was all up and running. Everyone was involved in.
I thought you were going to
hardware.
say, and the kids knew more.
exactly.
Right?
They
No
do,
big deal,
they
no big
actually
deal.
do know
Yeah.
how to use that. No,
Well,
that-
thank you for coming.
Good, thank
We
you.
appreciate your time.
Good
Yes.
job.
Thank
Yep.
Thank you to everyone on that list, too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Congratulations to them.
Thank you. Good job. Next, we have
Technology people.
Ms. Hackett for the 2020 budget update.
Thank you very much. This is just a quick housekeeping exercise. I gave you all an updated spreadsheet this morning. If you could just walk through it a little bit. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the FY19 total budget request. That was last year's budget at $29.7 million, and I will round. If that's okay for folks?
Yes.
27 point. Then in May, the school committee voted the $31.3 million budget, and that budget remains the same today. All right. The only thing that has changed are the 3 lines underneath the salaries, sped, and expenses. There's been a reallocation of those funds based upon several things, one of which is breakage and the buses that we spoke of at the last meeting, and the second is a realignment in accord with new DESI chart of account end of the year reporting requirements. So the bottom line remains the same. It's just how it's allocated between those 3 lines has changed. The regional remains the same. So the only vote, although I would like to speak about the next grouping, the only vote required this evening is to adopt the reallocation of salary, sped, and expenses for the FY20 budget.
Okay.
Make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Go ahead.
Thank you. Down below is showing you sort of our next step forward in accord with our strategic plan and additionally with DESI end of the year reporting requirements. And quite frankly, our new town accountant and our understanding and increased utilization of Munis, which is our accounting software system. All right. So we can ignore the the two left, and just go to the far right column of the second grouping, again beginning with the total budget of the $31.3 million. We then subtract out the $2.2 million, which are called regional, that is the South Shore VOTEC and the Norfolk County,
Norfolk Aggie.
Norfolk Aggie, excuse me, thank you, costs. We will no longer see those as part of our budget presentation again. The town has taken over responsibility for those monies. They're going to raise them.
I know,
And they're going
seriously.
to appropriate them. All we have to do is verify the number of students we have in those two programs. All right,
Which they always
so-
have, essentially.
Right.
all right,
It's just
so-
been
Just been a
confusing.
money
It's just been
game, right.
confusing, and we
Bringing
even
it
were
in, bringing
confused,
it
Mr. Phelps, at the last second at the Finance Committee this year
Exactly.
over them, so they're out.
That's good.
The second line that comes out is the $3.5 million, which we called credits historically in our budget presentations. Those are our grants and our revolving accounts.
They take care of it.
Okay, those come out of the $31.3 million as well, which brings us down to what the actual town meeting appropriation and vote was, which is the $25,557,226 figure. It is that figure that you're going to receive in the new year-to-date budget reports.
Okay.
Right, you're not going to see the 31.3, you're going to see the 25.5 figure. We're working on uploading, following this vote, I'm going to start the data enter process into Munis, then the town accountant's office will roll it over, and we'll be able to print and have it ready for you for presentation at the next
But we will
school
see
committee
these
meeting.
other numbers as we go through, not as part of the budget, but as, like the revolving accounts and things like that.
Just like we're changing somewhat the Munis presentation,
Yep.
you're going to receive what are called balance sheets, as opposed to the Excel spreadsheet that you're receiving now.
Right.
With all of our revolving and our grants, we're going to be giving you balance sheets, which is lifetime cash
Yeah.
Very good.
available.
Very
Very
good.
good.
Okay?
Simpler.
And much
So
simpler.
apples and oranges
That's
are
right.
now put together. Yeah.
That's the idea.
Okay. Very
It's just moving money from one spot
just-
to another with new guidelines and using a different module within Munis
Yeah.
that's available to us.
That's
Well,
what-
in a very odd way, it connects to the iReady software. The iReady software tells the teachers what the kids are doing well or what they need extra work
Yeah.
on. It also tells us where we're spending our money.
Good point.
And they need to connect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
So
Yeah.
our budget needs to be as transparent and clear and quick as iReady is. So that we're sure that we're spending the
Right.
taxpayers' money.
On the right thing.
Exactly.
way.
Great.
Very good.
Right.
You don't need to vote on it if you ever
No.
did.
Not on that part.
No.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Hackett,
you.
and your
Good.
team
Good
of
job.
ladies.
Super, super.
Next, we have the reappointments for the administrators, teachers on professional status, teachers eligible for reappointment, non-union support staff, custodian and maintenance, school nurses and school physicians, business office personnel and school secretaries, paraprofessionals, special education drivers, 11 and 12-month contracts, daycare staff, cafeteria, and school security.
13 motions.
You're quick on the draw. I was going to say there's 13.
For the second, with the knowledge that all these names are at the superintendent's office, if anyone's interested in perusing them.
Correct. I was going to say that too. Instead of reading all these names, I just sort of cheated and went that route.
You did the right
Yep,
thing.
yep.
Yeah.
Right, we could be here all day.
Yeah.
I just have an edit. My name is spelt incorrectly on the top.
Oh.
So I just want to make sure that
As is mine.
it's all set.
Yeah, but yours is going to change.
Well, it's going to change a lot.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure it's all set for the
We
report.
will fix that.
Okay.
Okay,
Very good.
so we have one, do we have a second?
13 motions, 13 seconds.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Personnel information, anything you would like to add, Dr. Cron?
Nothing to add
Nothing you would
this
like to
time.
add? So we're on to our public service announcements. We'll start ladies first. Ms. Gear?
So, Sunday, September 29th, a bunch of high school students have signed up to go to the breast cancer walk. We have sold pink t-shirts in support. A bunch of teams are going, which is awesome. So we're going to be taking buses there, walking around Boston and showing our support, and then coming back home. Next week we also have Spirit Week, which will lead us into our Unified Pep Rally and our homecoming dance on October 5th.
Very exciting. I ordered my shirt for my middle schoolers for Pink Out Day.
That's good.
Miss Harrison?
Okay. The only thing I have to say is I hope to see a lot of people out at the forum at the town hall on October 17th. And that's it.
Mr. Mills?
It seems like school's, back in the stride, and, doesn't seem to be any issues, or minimal issues. It's good to it's good to be in the fall and go back to the school. Yeah, so that's, I think.
That's what you've got?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Mr. Phelps?
First of all, wishing Miss Harrison a wonderful, wonderful day this weekend.
Thank
you.
You're blessed to have such a nice young man, and he's more so blessed to have you.
That's right.
And it's a wonderful, and I see where you're coming from. And he better too.
Right.
Secondly, I just want to mention, because I thought it was a great idea, football game 2 weeks ago, I think it was, the boosters came around and they're selling, believe this or not, a picture of a bulldog, the same bulldog that you used to see in crosswalks.
Yes.
You can put that on your driveway for $30. And I thought, what a nice way to show spirit within the town to do that. It only lasts for about 6 months. It either washes off or wears off. But there are certain rules and regulations, and if someone is interested in doing that, I would suggest that they, sorry, Superintendent's office, but they contact Superintendent's office, and they can put them in touch with the personnel that are actually handling this. It's the Booster Club, the Athletic Booster Club in Rockland. That's all I have.
I love that idea too. We haven't signed up for it, but we are looking forward to it. Did you? Did you get it?
Mine's getting done at some point this week. I was hoping it was going to be done before the meeting so I can have a picture of it.
Right.
Oh, mine was done before the meeting, and I didn't take a picture.
I want to do it, but I have a crazy dog, so I have to figure out when they can do it.
Yeah?
Mr. Garofalo, go ahead on yours. You're next.
Yes. The booster fundraiser is great. I thought it was probably one of the best fundraisers I've seen because, from what I understand, Guidelines is legitimately donating everything. So, hats off to a local business doing that for us. Everything's going great. I would like to say, anybody happen to see where the football team is in the top 10 rankings right now?
Not the Globe.
No, well, the Globe doesn't like us, never has, so. But I think everybody's looking great. Soccer teams are looking great. I
Doing good.
I think, as always, it's not all about athletics, like Mr. Phelps says, but it does tend to show you the type of kids we have when they're doing great athletically, academically, socially, and all that. So musically,
everything.
artistically,
Got it all.
we got the best kids,
Absolutely.
and I would challenge any town to show me otherwise. So that's all I got.
And it's
oh,
on camera now. So.
Emily,
Right.
so, hey, bring it on. And
The other
Emily,
thing,
of course,
Oh, go ahead.
this weekend.
Okay.
And this is right.
Oh,
Sorry
I
to
just
cut
wanted
you
to
off.
ask one more about the Triple E thing.
This is
We're
mine.
squared away
You're
with that.
welcome.
Right, yeah, okay.
Just a little something.
Thank you so much.
From us. Here, a little
Yeah,
blue.
a little bit more. That's all. So emergency celebrations only.
Thank you, everybody,
Here we
so
go.
much.
Thank you.
You're
There you
welcome.
go.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Who's troubled, as I am, about the signs not being the same color, they will be in the next meeting.
Okay.
So,
We were waiting.
So
My
anyway.
name is not changing.
there we go.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I think mine's spelled correctly on my plate.
Yeah.
Emily, that's from us. It's just a little something
Yeah,
blue if
probably,
you want to
yeah.
pin it into your dress or not, but we thought you'd have your bulldog family with you on
Thank
your
you very
special
much.
day.
I'm still looking
Yeah.
for something blue, so I'm
Oh,
glad I
well, there you go.
Thank you very
That's-
much.
You're welcome.
yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right.
Congratulations.
Everyone good? I cut you off, Mr. Garofalo.
Nah, I think you got everything. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. And with
motion-
that said,
Motion to adjourn.
all those
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.